Hello there, welcome once again to another video. First of all, I'm sorry I wasn't able to get a Universal Century Gundam Rewatch episode up last week. Last week was very busy. I did try making the video, but unfortunately I got interrupted by something else. So that's why I'm having to make it at the start of this week. Luckily I was able to get a video up last week anyway, as you may have seen. I'm going to be trying, before I get into the crux of this video, I am going to try and get like 2 videos a week up now on this channel. I was feeling that I think if you've seen by the view numbers that these videos have been getting, they haven't been doing very well at all really, because Gundam isn't really like a franchise which is massively well known to the wider world out there, and also the fact that not many people are going to be watching along at the same time I'm making these things, so I'm going to be putting up more than one a week now. So yeah, that's it for the formalities, which I don't usually do, but there you go. So what I'm going to be talking about today is I'm going to be talking about what happened in Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam episodes 36 to 45. Now, as I said before, I wasn't able to put a video up last week. That's why I'm going to be talking about quite a stretch of stuff this time around, which is going to be quite difficult actually, considering that a lot has happened in those episodes. Because we're really starting to heat up now towards like the finale of the series, so there's a lot for me to discuss. Episode 36 and the episodes around there focused on what happens after Thor's death, and you know, Shah doing his speech at the car and like putting it out there what the Titans are to people in the wider world, and like what his beliefs are, and revealing his identity as Char Aznavour and also as Casfell Rimdaiku. And I think that this time is difficult for Shah because, as I mentioned in one of my first episodes in this series. Oh, before I go on, I forget to say this, there will be spoilers in these episodes, of course. I think you can probably figure that out anyway. But yeah, sometimes I've forgotten. I've caught myself now, so that's good. But anyway, back on topic. I think it is a hard time for Shah. I think I mentioned this in one of my previous videos I did. Because Shah Aznavour, I think for the most part during Zeta Gundam, he doesn't really want to be known as Shah Aznavour at all. He's perfectly happy being Quattro Vagina of the Aeg. He doesn't want to be known as anything else. I think that himself and Amuro had so much to do during the 1 Year War and had such experiences during that time. They didn't want to really have so much to do or so much responsibility during this conflict, which I think is understandable. I spoke about like how Amuro was kind of pushed into serving like in this series like earlier on, and now like Char's like forced into kind of revealing his own identity and everything to like help the cause of the Aeg, which is really interesting. So by this point in the series he shouldered a lot more responsibility upon himself, so much so that like where we've got into the series now, that like Bright isn't really letting him go out anymore in his mobile suit quite so much, because he realises that he's much more important now. He's revealed his identity. So that's something very much to think about. Camille has dealt with what happens with Thor very well. I think he realised that there was nothing he could do about Thor's death really, and he's just got on with it, which is really good. So I think you can really see how much more Camille has matured since the start of the series by this point, that's for sure. I think he's a really good character. I think he's definitely had, I think it's really cool how like he's developed over the course of the thing, and we're going to see more of that as we like finish the series. But I think that was really excellent how he dealt with Thor's death. He's mature enough to realise that that's happened, but the only way he can stop more stuff like that from happening is to help finish this thing. And it's strange because he comes across another scenario like Thor quite shortly afterwards with Zamia claiming to be his sister, and I really like the way he dealt with Zamia also. Like he kind of, I found it really cool because I thought it was nice how he kind of accepted Rosario as his sister almost. It's like I think he realised that she wasn't any kind of harm as she was. I think he probably knew that she was a cyber new type and all that stuff. Because we've seen her go back to her old self again now, where she's trying to, hurt the AU again. But I think it's clear that, he was trying to help his army as much as he could. I think the reason why he helped her this time, even after what happened before, was because of her state of mind. She didn't seem have any kind of fluctuations in her personality at all for a great deal of time over those bunch of episodes where she was with the AU crew. And I just thought it was nice how he dealt with the situation. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with them now she's went back to like her old self again. And I mentioned Rekua there. I think him and the rest of the crew are still very upset about what happened to Rekua and the fact that she's turned from being part of the AEG into a Titans member, and of course by this point, by episode 45, they know that now and have had a couple of encounters with her along the way. And Rekua really is like a really bizarre and messed up person, like a lot of the characters are in Zeta Gundam. I think that her situation, I feel that she really didn't. I think in her case, she didn't feel appreciated by the people in the AU and on the Argama for some reason. I think she always felt underappreciated. I think the sense that she got from Shiroko and the kind of, I think it's clear that he had some kind of he warped her mind to some extent. I think it amplifies those feelings, and I think that she went over to Titan, didn't she, out of kind of frustration and to kind of find a place for herself. In the most recent episode, she kind of mentions stuff along those lines to Far, doesn't she, of want to find herself as a woman again and all that kind of stuff, and she speaks very cryptically about it, but I think that's basically what she wanted to find. I think she was someone who had a problem with her own feelings and her own feelings of appreciation, and it didn't really matter what faction she was on. She just wanted to feel that good things about herself, and I think that's kind of understandable to a degree, but not the action she takes, that's for sure. I think she realises quite quickly on kind of brief Titans are when she meets Bask and what she has to do with gassing the colony. But I think by that point, even before she gasses it, I think she realised she's too far in to change her mind now. She has an opportunity to go back to the AU with Camille. Excuse me. But she doesn't. She decides to stick with the Titans. I think she realises she's gone too far now. She can't turn back. And by episode 45, she's definitely thrown her entire lot in with the Titans. She's definitely with them now. Although, as I stated in what I just said, she met Far and she did seem to have a little bit of connection still with the AU crew, but she's definitely full in with the Titans now, that's for sure. So it's really, really interesting what's happened with her. We've had much more to do with Haman Khan now, haven't we? We've came across her character and we've had some really fascinating interactions with her. She is one of the most well-known and probably one of the most well-liked characters in all of Gundam. And it's easy to see why, really. I mean, she is a really fascinating character with the kind of depth that Shah Aznable also has, which is really cool to see as a character. And how conniving and cunning she is. I mean, you can see her trying to pull the strings throughout these episodes and trying to have the best advantage she can for herself and the rest of the rest of Neo Zeon. And it's interesting, her interactions with Shah also. He doesn't really. I think he is kind of trapped because he's having to assist the Zeon in these moments, isn't he? Because the AEG have kind of, through Melanie Hugh Carbine, who's the leader of the AU, he's encouraged the rest of them make a deal with Haman Khan so we can
get rid of the Titans basically, and so Char is uncomfortable, I think, with dealing with them, obviously because of his past with the Zeon and with the Zabi family, which is basically what Zeon is in its current state. Minerva Zabi is still around, like the kid, but it's like Haman's who's like pulling the strings basically. And the history between Haman Khan and Char Aznavour goes a lot deeper than what these episodes have shown, which you'll find out in the next bunch of episodes, and you can find out more in like a manga series called what's it called again? Char's Deleted Affair, I believe. You find out much more about their history and all that, and it makes more sense of why Char's uneasy about this. And I really don't like Katz as a character. I think I like him as a character, but I don't like, the way he acts. He's just really annoying, and he doesn't understand the whole gravitas of the situation, and keeps trying to win the affections of Sarah, even though it's a total waste of time, and he does totally stupid things. But I kind of agree with him with his stance with Zeon. I agree why he doesn't want to work with them at all, and hates the idea of the AU assisting, aligning themselves with Zeon at the moment, because obviously he was involved in the 1 Year War, even though he was a little kid, he went through all those experiences. So I think it's cool, he's all frustrated about what's going on. And I think that the battle sequences which have taken place in the last couple of episodes have been really good. We've been, we're reaching the end here, so that makes perfect sense. The battles have been really, really cool to watch. I think I may have mentioned this in the previous episode as well, on my channel, that I think in the first bunch of episodes, maybe the first half of the series, I think the battles are kind of often a little bit redundant. I feel that the battle sequences in the last half of the series have had more stuff going on apart from the battle. They've had more interaction with the characters while the battle has been going on, and I think that's something which has been really cool. So I really appreciate that about the second half of the series. I don't think there's much more to discuss really. I think I've done well to cover kind of the stuff which has been going on here. I think Jared's one character I've kind of forgot now, because he's kind of moved on up, hasn't he, in the hierarchy of the Titans. He seems to be some kind of bodyguard for Jomitov Hyman, it seems, the leader of the Titans. So that's kind of interesting what's going on there. And it was a shame also that we've lost Apolline in the last episode. He's a character which has been there from the very beginning. And yeah, it's a shame to lose a character like that who's always kind of been there. I don't think he's had too much to do, but I think he's always a welcome character in the series, and I think a character that I liked. It also does hit home the fact that the seriousness is now really starting to ramp up. So there you go, really. Those are my thoughts on this bunch of episodes. I'm sorry I couldn't get a little bit more in depth about this, because like I said, I wasn't able to do this video last week, unfortunately. So there you go. Hopefully I won't have that happen again, because we're really close to the end now, so it's important definitely that I get, I cover these episodes as best as I can. So yeah, thoughts and comments down below about what you thought about these bunch of episodes, if you've been watching along with me. So yeah, soon enough I'll have, I don't know how many, I guess I'll only have one more of these Zeta Gundam Rewatch episodes to go through now, and then we'll be on to the next series. So yeah, I'll see you then.